documents until they're finalized, they won't be posted. Because all these numbers are gonna change as we go through these meetings. When they vote on a final budget, it all gets uploaded online. I'm happy to send them to you. I'll email them to you. But we don't want the public looking at incorrect numbers. These numbers are,
Well, what I mean is like when you get this, whatever y'all finish up doing with it, prior to voting on it, I'm assuming you'll have a finalized version of this that the commissioners will look at and say, yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
At that point, will your final proposal be posted online before the board votes?
No,
no,
no, not until we approve it.
That's one of the
Because it
reasons.
still would be subject to change.
Yeah.
it's what they call working papers. And working papers are not subject to FOIA law. And when there's a decision made on it, it's voted on, it becomes official.
But then it's too late.
Well,
Anything can be modified at any time.
we hope people would, like you, would come to the meeting if they want to be a part of the process.
All right, let's go, Cheryl. You're all set,
Yes, I've
and
already.
you're recording?
I never stopped.
You never stopped. Let's go to the part that gets
Summary page.
tricky. Okay, we're gonna go to the summary first. Go back to the very beginning.
Far left.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my cursor.
Yeah. There you go. And what I would like to share with the board is at the bottom, that number, I know you can't see the headings right now, but column I is wages.
Okay.
And as you can see, that number is almost $2 million, 1.997. I'm sorry, column G.
Okay.
Column G is
Salary
wages,
expense.
1.997.
Okay.
So this is very rough math, but a 3% on that is around $60,000,
60?
about 60,000.
Okay.
So now that's a 3% plus an increase for, I think, 3 employees. As I mentioned, one was Dan.
But those you'd already worked into the budget already.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So as we're working through, capital and seeing where to cut and what to keep in, as I said, that's a rough number, but it's around 60,000. Okay, now you can go back to CIP.
So, Danny, just on that same item, and I talked to somebody the other day about like teachers, educators, which I was for many years. They have a salary schedule. You come in at 20, and the next year you get 21, and next year, and then if you get a master's, you go over to 24, and so forth and so on. So there's a schedule, a salary schedule for most people in a school district, but we don't have that here, do we? Schedule of any kind.
No, sir.
If you get a secretary in the building here and they start at X, you don't have anything that they get 2% more next year.
No, just whatever COLA the board approves.
And
Or unless their job responsibilities change,
Okay.
then I make some adjustments.
And we've had several of those last year too. But I guess I'll just repeat my concern that I think the reason that golf operations and or the restaurant and or the water sewer department and or the roads department is having a hard time getting people is we're paying 13, 14, 15, maybe a little more, but a person who's making 60,000 is going to get $1,800 raise, and the guy in the ditch digging out a PRV is going to get like 20 cents an hour or something. So I don't know if there's any other way to do it, since we've been doing it this way for probably 50 years, but I think we're still going to have trouble getting the people who are hourly in the difficult to fill positions without having some kind of a different scale for both raises and starting salary.
That's what I was gonna say, is maybe we need to take a hard look at our base wages. The 3% is, everybody's here, those are kind of apples and oranges. 3% is not gonna do anything towards attracting a new employee. And so maybe our whole, maybe it's time to reevaluate our starting salaries.
We did that last year though, Phyllis. Last year, when Suzanne and I came on the board, we had a substantial number of our employees that were just being paid $11 an hour.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we said, enough is enough of that. And
We went
had
to
Danny,
12.
Yeah.
as an absolute minimum.
Yeah, and I understand that, but that was pre-COVID, pre-inflation, pre-great regression, or great retirement,
It's
or
this-
whatever it
it's
is.
this year.
Yeah, I mean,
This year.
yeah, it's a whole new world as far as attracting employees and
The other thing that's, I guess, it was eye-opening to me is to look at the wages in our market, what I'll call our market area. And I asked our previous road superintendent, when he was having problems, well, what does Eureka and Berryville and these other cities in Carroll County, what do they pay their laborers in the road department? Guess what it
same as us.
is? Same as us.
You have to pay market, no doubt. But considering the fact that we have a small market to draw from, we may have to pay more, a little bit more,
Yeah.
to get here and to keep them, because turnover kills you. You want to get them and keep them.
Or
I don't know
offer
about
some
all of
sort
y'all, but
A bonus.
Offer some sort of perk or something,
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily have a monetary value.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I trust Danny to let us know when we
Yeah.
need to raise that minimum wage some.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, just so you know, my instruction to the accountant was to, of course, give us some options. And she said she could have that information to us by the end of this week. One of the things was a 3% COLA. And the second thing was to raise that minimum from $12 to $14 for our part-timers. Because 75% of our part-timers are making $12 an hour. And I would like to try to bring them up to 14 as a starting minimum.
And we have quite a bit of our staff that are part-time.
Yes, ma'am.
All of the amenity people, I think, are.
Yeah. Danny, then, like for an operator in the road department, what would be the starting, do we base their starting pay on their skill level? What kind of skills they bring to the table?
Yes, sir, we do.
And
If they
typically,
are,
what would that be?
well, typically we bring them in at 15, but if they have the ability to run certain equipment like the backhoe and other heavy equipment, or if maybe they have a CDL or some other skill set, then it would be 16, and we try to bring someone up, another, say, 50 cents an hour after 6 months. So $16.50.
Okay. So that's kind of tracking what
Yeah.
Ken was talking about.
Yeah. Phyllis, I like that idea, and I would go along with 3% for everybody, but more of a graduated at the bottom end, not the bottom end, but like you
I
just
think-
described,
I think fair is
Yeah.
fair, regardless of what your
Yeah.
salary is. That's just my opinion.
Make it-
Bob, I like your
Why
idea
should
too.
the person at the top end be punished?
Yeah. I like your idea of some other kind of maybe non-pay item that maybe once a month they could take off at noon on Friday if the supervisor agreed with it or something. I don't know, when there's not a,
That
or not,
shouldn't happen.
something that would not be affecting the budget, but according to the supervisor's discretion, paid time, I don't know what to call it.
Well, maybe have a work schedule where they, work an extra hour
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday, which would entitle them to leave at noon
Yeah.
on Friday.
Yeah,
Some kind of
Yeah.
creativity.
That's actually very, very common in the last 32 years. The other two cities that I've worked at have both done that. They have what's called either a 980, or they work 9 hours Monday through Thursday, leave at noon on Friday.
As far as road workers replacement, what would be wrong with borrowing from McDonald's, a sign-on bonus? Maybe that would attract people a little bit.
Payable after 6 months of,
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I like that.
no, I think that's a great
It's a
idea.
good idea. Yeah.
My point is, you reach a point in time where, you keep doing the same old things you always did, you're gonna get the results you always got. Maybe we do need to get more creative, come up with these, unique things that Eureka and Berryville aren't offering. Something.
I see all these signs everywhere, $500 sign-on bonus, McDonald's, just to flip burgers.
Just stand on
Yeah.
your feet all day and take
I'll
crap
offer
from
'em,
customers.
A heavy machinery rocker has a lot more skills than somebody flipping a burger.
For every month that you show up on time and no sick days or anything, you get a $100 gift card for Sunfest
Yeah.
to help feed the family,
Yeah.
and, things like that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
might be important to
Sure.
a young.
It would attract,
I like it.
it helps morale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay,
So, enough of
let's
that.
get this.
CIP. So if it's okay with the board, I'll just kind of walk through this and explain what we're seeing here.
Yeah,
This is,
I'm gonna run out of time.
okay. Lift station rehabilitation, as you know, that's just an ongoing project. It never changes. We have, I can't remember now, it's a lot because of the topography here. There are a lot of lift stations here. You
Are
have
there
to,
26, Ken?
27.
27?
I was gonna say 30, I knew it was in that ballpark, but, I mean, you've got to push it uphill and get it where it needs to go, so,
And that's
So-
critical to keep that project going.
On the, Danny, I don't know if you've done a second one yet, but when we had the grant with the city, 600,000 for State Line and Hawk, didn't we not put any money into road improvement that year? But
we did.
we did,
Yeah, we did Appaloosa, we did
it was 200, yeah, about 200.
Quail Run.
Yes,
Yeah.
well run.
And,
Starlight or something out
yeah, there were 5 different
Yeah,
streets that we did, and it was a total of $243,000.
so do you think that, all of you, I guess I'd ask a question, do you think 200 is, I'll put it this way, I'd rather see more go into lift station improvement than have one of them go out like it did on Serenity. It was out for like 3 weeks, and we had to bring the truck in and pump it a couple times a day or once a day. 12,000 maybe would be enough for 1 or 2, and I don't think, I'd have to ask Dan how many we've done, if any.
there. Oh, they have been rebuilding them.
Have they?
Yeah, it's been an ongoing project.
I would suspect he's
They
got
have
a rotation schedule for when he gets those done.
He does.
I would think the best way maybe to approach this is to go down and look at everything that they've asked for.
Okay.
And then at the next meeting, we'll have an idea of what sum of money that we're looking at to divvy up, and then figure out how what we're gonna keep in the budget and what we're gonna say we can't do it, and we have to do it next year.
Yeah,
Because we know right now, just looking at it, there's $545,000 in here that, just looking at income versus expenses and requests, we can't do. So
Let me give
let's
you a
just
quick-
go through and look and have Danny explain each one of these.
Based on the revenue and, okay, let me give you a hypothetical. Based on the revenue that we projected for '23, and if we gave a 3% COLA, that leaves approximately $240,000 for CIP.
And that doesn't go very far.
And that is without the $798,000 that we have in the windfall, what I'll call the windfall account.
Okay.
Or the excess operating.
Or the excess operating capital that's in the money market, that's there also. So about $240,000 if we do the COLAs.
All right, so once you go
So,
down and
okay.
explain all these.
Now that roads is pretty much a standard that we've done every year for 6 to 8 years that I know of. Looking back, road improvements and road striping, so that's $215,000. You see the storage building there for sand and chat, that would be about a 4-foot high knee wall around the bottom of it to contain the material. And then, upright posts, it's gonna have to be probably 14 feet tall to be able to, back into it and get your front loaders into it and all of that. So 70,000 there. The reason that is highlighted there, spraying of roof and replacing heaters, Mike was gonna get us a bid on that. But there are some leaks on top of that building, and he was thinking he could just get it sprayed with something. And the heaters inside the shop are electric. They take a lot of electricity. And I think it might be more cost efficient to use like propane heaters or something, or natural gas heaters inside the shop, but he's gonna try to get us some prices on those.
Cheryl, do you mind going back up? I want to see what that 164, no, back up to
Yeah.
the top. I was trying to figure out what, all right, let's start
Oh, yeah,
there.
we
were
didn't-
starting in the
We weren't
middle.
starting at the top, were we?
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
the total didn't look right to me.
the 20,000 for the HVAC units, that's here in this building, those were scheduled in 2021. And we were doing okay, so I didn't spend the money to buy them. We rolled the money over to 2022. Building's been fine this year. We've had to, I think they had to come in and do a minor repair and recharge. But once again, I did not spend that money, and so we've pushed it out to 2023. At some point, we are gonna have to redo the unit that's where my office is and then over where Mayor Keys is. And because that unit is the most problematic unit that we have, and it's up in the attic in a spot where it shouldn't be.
And at some point, the city's going to say, if we're paying you for rental, we want some
We want
AC.
some good AC, so that's what that is.
Danny, I would suggest that you not go out for bid for them, but ask the vendor who's doing all the work here at all of our buildings if we might get a good deal on some of these things, because when I put one in a year ago at my home, there was quite a discrepancy in prices. So, if we're going to stick with the same brand and so forth, that's one thing, but most of them are do the same, they're efficient and so forth. But it could be $1,000 or $2,000 different per unit. By going to somebody else.
We actually thought about, particularly on that end of the building, there's not a place to put another HVAC unit other than where it's at now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in that small bathroom by the mayor's office. And so when you go in there, there's like a little trap door in the ceiling, and you have to go in there and push your ladder against the wall, close the door behind you, and then you can open your ladder, and then you can get up in there. And it's very confined, it shouldn't be there. It's hard to maintain, it's hard to change the filters and so forth. So what we had planned to do is to use like a mini split type system,
Yeah.
and use a 2-head system where you have one unit outside. You can get them up to like a 22-seater, it's
Right.
really efficient, and put one in the city's office and one where my office is, and then probably continue that because they're just so much more cost effective as we go through replacing the ones in this building.
Yeah.
So the next time the mayor gets up that ladder to change his filters, take a picture.
It's a mess. I always hear the technicians from Island Airco talking about servicing that unit.
Send the skinny guy in.
Yeah. They
Need Briar to go up and do that one.
I had to see Briar last week.
So these tank rehabs that are listed under water and sewer, and you can see the 9-hole fire station, Summit, Rocky Top, rehab and maintenance. So that's a total of, what, 11.8 plus 26. So call it almost $40,000. That is on a contract with a company, and I can't recall the name of the company, that just changed names about a year ago. But we do have a contract. There's a certain fee that we pay them every year, and they have it on a schedule, like 5 years out, what they're gonna do each year to each tank. They kind of rotate.
That's a cathodic protection and that sort of thing.
I'm sorry, it's what?
The cathodic protection, the rods decay.
Yes,
and- Okay.
yes.
They have to be replaced.
Yes, and the painting, they, paint the outside of them.
Mhm.
So you're
That's-
saying
I
that
believe it's called Suez,
Yeah.
is the name of the company.
that 11,000 and the 26,000, that's almost a given
It's-
because that's the
Yes, ma'am.
required maintenance on it.
Yes, ma'am. And so that's really not
That's,
a negotiable, I
yeah,
don't
we
believe.
need to remember that.
PRV replacement, I am hoping that, and as I mentioned, I've talked to Jeff Denhart about it. He said he does know a company that has the know-how and probably, the time to come out here and just do all of it. We've got about 25 or so. When I spoke to Dan Schrader in the budget meetings, he said he is confident, even though here we are in September or October now, they will get those 5 done this year. So maybe that'll be the case, and I would,
Well, and I think that's the reason that they did just 4 to 5 a year was because we were trying to do it in-house and save that expense.
And I think that's part of the misunderstanding in the public side is that, it wasn't a matter of us or anybody saying, oh, you only get so many dollars a year. That's
That's all we have.
as big an appetite as they had, keeping it, doing the work in-house
Yeah.
to go out and do these PRDs. I think everybody would have, from the get-go, liked to, oh, we need to do it, go do it. But people can only do so much work, and I think the fact that we're looking now at subcontractor to do it, I think that's good. I would strongly encourage you, like I've said before, to include in that annual inspections by a third-party company of all of our fire hydrants.
okay.
Is Jeff gonna work?
That's part of the fire department, whenever they do their flow test and this kind of stuff, that goes all into ISO report.
Yep.
And it has to be submitted by the fire department. They have to keep records on all the fire hydrants and all that kind of stuff. I was talking to someone the other day about, they said they were allocating some money for painting of the fire hydrants, this kind of stuff. Well, the tops of the fire hydrants, there's a code for the water flow. And that top of that fire hydrant has to be painted that particular color. So there's, you know, the fire department needs to do some of that research. They have to do that. They have to keep up with the flow.
Evidently, they're struggling to get it done with the people they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but one way or another, if for no other reason, just to feel good about it, we need to get it done and do it right.
Is Jeff gonna give you the name of that company or have them contact you so we can get a price on, so we know what, you know?
Yes,
It's gonna
ma'am, he can't, yes. And that number, I believe, for PRV replacement would be around 200 to 225, 200,000 to 225.
If it's done outside.
Yes,
That's all.
yes. And that would be
The
for them
the existing ones.
to mobilize, move in here with their equipment and get them all done at the same time.
And Danny, didn't you say at one point too, that some of these pits that they occupy need to be rebuilt or enlarged in some way?
Like some kind of a encasement around them or
Yeah.
something. Probably so, yes.
There's one up down below the church that's in the middle of the road.
There ought to be a way to move that.
It's,
That doesn't sound like a good plan.
Yeah, that's a good time to do
I
it.
guess since it follows the water line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it kind of makes
it
sense.
does.
Yeah.
but it's spooky to get down in there.
Since the water lines are in the middle of the road,
It's an edge.
okay, then where would they normally be? On the outside edge of the roads
On the
for the PRVs?
Well, they have to be on the line itself somewhere. They have to maintain that line.
Yeah.
And it's like a meter. You got flow coming this way and it goes down the hill. For every 8.3 foot, it gains a pound.
But if all of our water lines are under our roads, then it seems like all of our PRVs are gonna be under our roads.
Yes, they are.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
there's
That's
none
the-
suspended,
Yeah, all right.
Mm.
Okay.
no aqueducts.
What a mess.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Then you gotta fix the road. Never ends.
SCADA system upgrade, SCADA is I can't remember what the acronym is, but it's an automated system that monitors lift stations and other things at the water treatment plant. And so, you know, Dan can pull up on his phone and look at PRVs and not PRVs,
Wells.
lift stations.
Lift stations.
And wells and that sort of thing, so.
They're up on a pole, like you go up Holly Allen Drive, they have one up on a pole, and it's telemetry from one to the other. And
Really?
yeah, we rehabbed that and bought some of that equipment several years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, SCADA.
And that's important stuff.
It is,
Yeah.
it is important stuff, to be able to monitor that stuff, around the clock.
And I
And
remember,
if a lift station goes down at 2 AM or a well or something like that, then it can send out notifications.
well, I think that's how he knew that well number one was having problems, since he kept watching it on his phone and seeing that it wasn't working the way it was supposed to.
By the way, that's systems control and data analysis is what SCADA is. And it can apply to water or wastewater side of things.
There, it says lift station telemetry, but that's different than SCADA, SCADA. It's zero.
I- Yeah, I know what SCADA is, but I don't know about lift station telemetry. Fortunately, he's not asking for any money for that, so.
Worry about that next year.
I don't know. I know on the rehab what they, you know, typically that's pumps and seals and valves and that sort of thing. I don't know about telemetry.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at roads, and as we mentioned, there's the roads and striping, the storage building. We will get the price on sealing the roof and replacing heaters in there. The siding on station number 3 was done during this current year. Siding on station number 1. I have not looked at that. I don't know how serious it is, if it's a really pressing matter or if it's just aesthetics or what, but I will take a look at that, make myself a note. Note here, okay. That bathroom remodel, you know, it's,
Within 20, yeah, for those two right in the pro shop there.
Oh, that's in the
this-
fire station.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fire department.
Okay. So,
Um,
Is that the main station, fire station?
Yes, it is. We talked to Mason about that. You know, we have a bathroom, it works, it needs to be remodeled, it's old and it's, you know, but, pro shop. You know, we had some of these things in there for the pro shop for this current year in '22. And
He's had, I asked him about the doors, and he's had a horrible time getting the parts to fix the doors.
Yeah, that's why they were down so low.
So maybe the doors need to be replaced instead of fixed.
The garden and landscape, I think the Ray up there and others do a really nice job of keeping that place looking nice, and flowers and sprinkler system during a 100-degree heat. I think they do a real good job with it, and they need some money to keep that up.
that remodel for 2 bathrooms, I think that those are the bathrooms that you were
Yeah,
speaking of right when you
Ones
first
fresh.
come in,
yeah,
nearest to the cash register
Right.
there.
that's correct.
Yeah, they, you know,
Yeah, they're
they,
just old.
yeah, that's it, they're
It's
just
just
old, they work, but,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that of any plumbing problems in there particularly.
yeah, not like in the hallway bathrooms.
Correct.
What in the kitchen was he looking for? Kitchen.
He mentioned, I am drawing a blank
That's
on that.
On the original too, most of them.
Probably.
It is, and
That's all.
I know he said he needs more room,
Mm.
but I don't know how you're gonna get more room. It's not
Yeah.
really much way to expand back there. The remodel downstairs and AC downstairs would, you know, put off to 24. Those doors, you know, as you can see, we left in there. Maybe he's got a lead on that. We can get those fixed. I would think that it's Eureka Springs Glass that did all of the work here in the front office.
Mhm.
They also do commercial doors,
Oh,
and I would think they would be a good source for that.
Sure.
Friendly place.
Is that Frank? Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Did a good job out here. Okay, so the recreation center, you know, we've been looking at this surface repair and decking for a couple of years now, and
Mhm.
we did have the large pool cover in there. We purchased that about 3 or 4 months ago. It's on the pool now. She said it's perfect, it fits great. And so we're good there. And she didn't buy the small pool cover because there was enough of space between the demo and the large pool that she went ahead and covered it, but for the small pool cover, she didn't want to put a new pool cover there and run the risk of it
Risk
getting
it,
ripped
yeah.
or torn
Yeah,
while
good
they're
for her.
working.
Good.
So we didn't purchase that one. That retaining wall, there's a little pocket out there where they have like cinder blocks and things. And that's where when they clean up the 9-hole course and around the rec center, they pile everything and they burn it.
Well,
But
burn, that's just burned.
I don't know. Something happened to that. They had a little burn area there and something happened to
It
it.
blew down, the bricks blew over, a heavy wind. That
Really?
wall, yeah.
Was that really what
Yeah,
happened to it?
mhm, yeah.
Well, I was thinking, well, how could
Little wall.
I guess I should have asked him a few more questions, but anyway.
It used
She
to be
wanted
a,
to see
it
if
used to be a
maybe-
racquetball court. It was
Yeah.
up high and, then some blew off and now it's totally blown
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah.
She wanted to see about rebuilding that so they could use it for a burn pit,
Yeah.
which,
Danny, that surface repair, I know we've talked in this room about that in the past, and, you know, that's a horrific amount of money,
Mhm.
especially with the monies we're committed to spending down there on the rec center.
Mhm.
I know Al Selleck and maybe even others have mentioned some options, relatively inexpensive options. Has feel like Janice has explored those options. I would struggle with doing anything with that surface down there.
well, I would too, especially at that amount. You know, what is quoted there is that rubberized pellets, you know, that type of surface. And that's about the most expensive route you could go, I think.
Probably
You know.
removing the old stuff is really expensive, and then
Yeah,
compound that with what you're talking about.
you know, but now they have this, you know, it's paint essentially. Super durable paint they roll on there, but it's like Cool Coat or Cool Seal or something, you know, where you
Cool
can,
Deck.
even on a 100-degree day, you can still walk on it.
It's called Cool Deck.
Cool Deck, that's it. And Cool Deck is much cheaper than what's quoted here.
Well, I think
So,
we need to consider something, because I keep hearing stories about whatever is on that surface now gets tracked into the pool, and then you have a pool maintenance issue. Plus, I'd worry about it eventually getting into the, you know, the chlorine, yeah, the whole filtration system. So I don't know.
We will
We must
definitely-
we need to do something
A Cool
apparently.
Deck is a sealant,
It's a sealant,
Um,
so it could be put on the existing surface.
I believe.
Boy, that'd be nice.
I'll make myself a note on that as well.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to bail out here in a bit.
That's
Can we
okay.
move along?
All right, let's move along.
Here.
Um,
Larry, I'll give you an idea of what I was thinking we might do is just go through this list and then basically stop. And then at our work session meeting in 2 weeks, that we could, by then you'd know
Revisit
how
it?
much the cost of living would be. You know, we'd be able to take this list and prioritize it until our money's gone.
Yeah, thank
Kind of
you.
like we did last year.
Yeah, very good, thank
Would
you.
that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, golf maintenance. This is as you can see, it's an automated system. It, you know, like most sprinkler systems that you would have at your house, it has like a control box and you can control the hours they come on and off. And the system will not push enough water for all of the sprinkler heads at the same time. So you can do like 3 greens at a time and that's it. So what Tyler has to do is wait till these 3 are finished and then he'll check his watch. Okay, it's been 45 minutes, turn those off and turn these on. And, you know, it's all a manual process and this fixes that.
That would be time saving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we built that golf course up there, the engineer ordered sprinkler heads for every green, every fairway and all that kind of stuff. We had a sprinkler head for every opening. Well, you could only do one fairway at a time.
Right, it is still that
We-
way today.
We did not need, we had 1,000,000 sprinkler heads.
Well, I will say in my own yard, there's 3 different zones and you can only do one at a time, but it's
Mhm.
automated, so when
Right.
one stops the next.
Mhm.
He's been running those sprinklers at night, I know,
Yes.
because my little terrier's out there barking at the water. Does he have to actually manually go and start those things at
Yep.
7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night?
Yep,
Does he really?
yep,
Yeah.
Tyler, during that 100-degree heat, Tyler was out here every evening.
And in the mornings, they would come out at like 5:30 in the mornings and hand
Yeah.
water
Oh,
the
yeah.
greens so that
Yeah.
it had time to get down to the roots before the sun came up and evaporated all the
Yes.
water. So,
That's been grass.
yeah.
Yeah.
That poor young man, I mean, he sweat blood and tears
This
this
summer,
summer to
yeah.
keep that,
He-
Mhm.
in
He's
that
done,
100-degree
he
heat.
has done excellent work.
Yes, he has. So the marina,
Oh,
I highly recommend that we do that electrical upgrade down at the marina. That line that runs down there is just not large enough for the amperage that it needs to carry. And that's, that was the problem with the
That's what
lighting.
Colin mentioned last time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he does have, that's a verbal quote, but that's a pretty good number there, 15,000 for that. The campground site improvements, the gravel, is simply to bring in numerous dump truck loads of gravel and spread it around the sites and some larger, there's one area, and I can't explain exactly where it's at, but it's a wash coming through there.
Mhm.
And it needs some big rock, like maybe some bull rock or something to stop that washing.
Well, and I hope that number would include, because I've been down there, Ken's been down there to dump our tanks back when we had RVs. Those sites need leveling
Yeah.
desperately,
Mhm.
and then put that gravel on there.
Right.
It's not something that's gonna have to happen very often, but it does need to happen.
So 857,000 there, and,
And we're working with 240 maybe.
yeah, and you can see that if you go back, can you go back to the summary page? All the way to the left.
Quick comment on that campground. That thing is revenue positive every year.
It is. It makes about 20 to 25,000, I think.
Yeah.
Every year.
I don't see anything
Right there.
on plus
Mm.
That
reinvestment.
I
net,
don't either. I don't either.
that net is 545,000.
But that's before we,
And that's because, that means we're 545,000 in the hole because of the 857,000 of CIP.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So, that delta there is about what, call it 300,000.
Mhm.
And then if you took 60,000 towards the COLAs, then we're down to 240,000.
Mhm.
So that's the math.
So that would add 15,000.
Look, we could just have a sheet that has, and do it like we did last year. I think what we did was we zeroed out the capital improvements, and then we went back and as we talked about them, we prioritized them and we put them back in until
Yes,
it came out neutral.
yes.
Now, the thing that we did not have last year when we were doing the budget was the found dollars.
Our windfall.
Yeah, our windfall.
Yeah,
And we,
exactly.
and also we didn't realize we had as much excess operating capital. So there are some of
Yeah.
these one-time projects that we can take care of and not have to worry about for a while. Oh.
Well, and like the PRVs were in here. Grant. Or we're gonna take money out of that cell tower
Mhm.
fund and we're gonna do all
Yeah.
the.
Do,
work on
get 'em
it.
done.
Yeah.
So there's no sense us worrying about it in here.
No.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
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 Well, and,
Well, see, what I was gonna do was figure out what the bottom line figure that we had. The total income, the total expense, see what the difference is, and then take that, I was gonna add the cell tower and the 173 all in there, and then go from that point. But it's Mox Nix, I mean, you do it anyway.
You know.
Anyway, I think we all are pretty much in agreement, let's get it done.
The leaks, a lot of the water leaks and this kind of stuff, that will possibly help them out.
It'll mitigate
It would make a big difference, and that needs,
yeah,
the infrastructure is the most important thing.
Right,
absolutely.
right.
And I would challenge Danny,
Because
he-
he has enough.
His to-do list is so long.
his hands have been in the fire, so to speak, here, creating this. I would like to see at our next meeting, Danny's short list of must-haves
Yes,
versus
Yes.
wants.
yes, there you go, that's
Wants and
good.
needs.
Needs instead of wants.
You give us a short list of must-haves, things that we can't walk away from and keep us in this budget.
Yeah,
I hate to mention this, but I just thought about this. The 200, let's say $225,000 to do all of the PRVs. Remember, that number was not plugged into this.
No, but there was a 25,000 for,
yeah, for 1 year.
For 5 of them,
Yeah.
correct. Well, I think what I may do is I could go in and, I could plug that number in, and I'll fix up something for you next meeting.
keep it
And-
simple,
And yeah, I will, I'll break it
So that-
down and,
everybody in the room understands.
yeah.
Including us.
And then by Friday, I'll have some much more accurate numbers for what the 3% would cost.
Yeah,
The 3%, now, if you go from $12 to $14 an hour
And you
for
don't need to give those
part-timers,
people 3%.
then you don't need to give them a 3%, and because that's over a 14%
that's a very good
raise.
point.
So you're really looking at 3% for your full-time employees only?
Correct.
Yeah, they've got to be priority number one,
Yeah,
the employees.
yeah.
Yeah.
Keep what we have.
And that's what we did last year, remember, that's what we did last year.
Keep what we
Keep them
have.
happy.
No,
Because
it's just there.
number one, we like them.
Yeah.
Number
Number
two, they
two-
do a wonderful
Number
job.
two, training their replacement's a pain.
I had one more question, Madam Chair, before Larry has to leave, and us too, but on the fees, we haven't discussed, are we going to leave all the fees alone?
That's for another meeting.
Yeah.
That's
But-
That's
in
next
like
January.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, it's,
I would suggest we do that, by the way, just leave them alone. Leave them
well,
where
we
they are.
have to
Yeah.
look at market rates.
Yeah.
That way.
And we've got to look at market rates and see what is the prevailing market for golf course membership.
Well,
And
Let's put it this way, let's leave the swimming pool fees alone, we'd have a lot less angst.
well, we would, wouldn't we? Oh, yes, we do have
Thank
one
you.
more thing. Do
Oh,
you do it or I do it?
You may do the honors.
Whoa,
You know, and. just-
I know. Are we going to have a heart attack?
Well, fortunately, we're all sitting down.
Yes, we're all sitting down. All right.
I occasionally go to the island. And I hear time and time again from the people who live in the proximity of the golf course, swimming pool, and that area, about their personal observations of what goes on before 9 o'clock in the morning and after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Missing out on 50% of our revenue from those amenities. We're missing out because we don't have a minimum wage person there to collect the fees starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is when golfers play in 100-degree heat.
Yeah.
They don't wait till 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
And
we don't need,
likewise, on the other end of the day,
The ones that are
they start coming out at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon to enjoy the evening. Well, there's nobody there to collect the fees, so.
and Bob, we don't need to close 3 days a week when there's nobody there, you know.
No, that's right. I mean, that is a sham.
What's the poison?
Well, the poison is a lot more than we wanted it to be. $662,194 for a 2,200 square foot building. That's $300 a square foot. I don't get it. That is just highway
That won't
robbery.
fly. No,
I mean, I honestly think we could hire David over there to be our project manager and subcontract this out and do it cheaper. Does that seem reasonable to you, David?
Oh,
600?
I think one bid is not enough, that's for sure, and I think, it'd be good to get some, I got some builders out there that would like to look at it.
I talked to one, but locally,
Yeah,
but when I asked him about it last week, I said, "You're gonna bid on a rec center, right?" And he said, "I'm tied up until February." He said, "No, I'm
That's a
not."
big number.
and then,
Was it real?
Goodness. All right, so we'll meet again on
We started at
the
300,000?
That's what I'm.
17th, October the 17th,
Yeah.
17th?
for a work session.
Yes.
To try to firm up the budget. And then we have a meeting the following, oh, wait, that's the morning of the 17th. The night of the 17th is the nomination meeting,
Yeah.
and then we have a regular meeting on the 23rd. 24th.
Yeah, I have the work session on my calendar and the nominations at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
All right.
I move we adjourn.
You don't have to, this is just a work
Okay.